What is the step-by-step translation process?
Okay, so once the language has been developed, I'm assuming that already, and we're actually now at the translation table. We usually talk about translation in 4 stages. The first is a drafting of the text, and that'll be assigned to one of the translators on the project, which will be somebody that's from the language community that we're working with. And so there's a study and an overview of the text. If we have an exegetical advisor there with them, our LBT missionary may study the text with them, talk through some of the things going on with the biblical language, and then the translator will study that text further, probably looking at several English translations if they're working in English, or French if French is the main language, or whatever it may be. And there may be other national language translations that they access as well, some of the bigger languages in their countries. And they'll draft that text. Sometimes it's just a few chapters, sometimes they'll just take the whole book and go, but it depends on how long the translation's been going. And so once that stage is done, stage 1 drafting, then stage 2 will be a team check, where usually a translation staff will have 2 or 3 or maybe more translators, again, from the language community that the text is intended for. And they will gather together with the exegetical advisor, and as a team check over that text, usually reading through it and discussing, is this natural, is this clear? The exegetical advisor will bring in exegetical issues as well. And the key point, and it's not like this in every project, but a key thing about having that exegetical advisor in at that point is an outsider to the language, especially if it's a newly developed language, also sees things that insiders don't see, looking at grammatical consistency and sharpness, because when you're going from a language that's only been spoken to a language that's being written, there's a higher level of precision that comes about. So all those things, if things are going well, get taken care of in a second stage team check. The third stage then is community checking, and this is actually for me the part I enjoyed the most, going out to the community with this thing that you've produced and discussing it with them. This can be done in a lot of different ways. Sometimes we just pack up the team and go to the village. Well, we've made arrangements, of course, but go to the village and meet with folks there. And I've done this in a group of 2 people and a group of 80 people. But we'll read the text aloud. Usually now the translators on the project have actually become like the best readers in their own language in the world. And so they'll read, and there'll be a lot of discussion. As much as possible, we encourage all of that to be going on in the language, the mother tongue language. So by this point, our missionaries have gotten at least a good grasp of the language and can follow along. But if not, that's why we're in partnership with the folks working with us. And so in that context, or sometimes it's a bigger like workshop type context, where for a whole week we'll just kind of do this same thing, reading and talking through texts, or copies of the text are printed and mailed to people where they'll read and make their notes. I mean, we're looking for feedback we can get in any other way on how do you understand what the story is telling you? What did it mean? Did these words sound right? Do you have suggestions for what would sound better? So a lot of orality is figured out, and again, in a lot of the places we work, even though there will be a written text, the way a lot of folks are going to receive it is by hearing it until literacy catches on. If it does, in some places the way of life won't allow for that to happen. But the community gives good feedback on the text. There's a whole revision. So after stage 2 there was a revision. After stage 3 there's a revision of the text again. And if there was significant revision going on, you might take that out again to the community. This is what makes the project go, especially at the beginning, what kind of drags things out while you're really nailing down finer parts of the language. When everybody's comfortable that we have a good translation here, then a consultant will come. This is somebody who's completely outside the language project and the language area, and they're looking at a higher level of accuracy and things. This is a publication consultant, basically. Whoever's going to publish is generally providing this consultant. That's the same thing that happens for our Bibles in the English language as well. So, a translation, and this is what we like to talk about with folks for stage 4 after a consultant check has happened. We can say to this local language community, this translation that you have has been worked and reworked and been checked accurately, just like a King James Bible okay, well, I don't know if we know King James Bible, but just like an English Bible would be today. And you can be confident that this is a clear and accurate translation of the Word of God in your language. So that's stage 1 through 4. It doesn't always go linear like that. It's sometimes kind of recursive, but that's in general how the process works.